Differentiation is the first step of marketing in business. You have to stand out from the crowd and grab attention and not be like everyone else so that you become hard to ignore. When it comes to applying for jobs with a resume, you are marketing yourself as the product or the service. And again, you need to differentiate and stand out from the pack. 7 things that you need to include on your resume if you're a strength coach looking to get hired in a hurry. The first is to include a profile photo on your resume. Now, technically, this is not allowed because you're not supposed to include any information in your application that would identify you in a way that would allow people to discriminate against you. So for example, gender, race, age, or sexual orientation. However, once they've seen your photo, they can't unsee it. And obviously employers want to hire strength coaches that look and act the part. So if you can include a photo where you clearly look like you're well put together, you're in shape, you're age appropriate, if you can check those boxes subconsciously, it's gonna boost your application. If they send it back to you and say, you can't do this, it needs to be blank, you can always remove it and resend it. However, if you can get it through the net, even if it's not allowed, they can't unsee that you look like the right person for the job. Number 2 is a personal statement. If we're being really honest, a resume is just a document that we use to sift people into the yes pile and the no pile. Whatever job it is you're going for, they are going to list criteria in that listing that you have to achieve the minimum standard in order to be put into the yes pile. So that may be things like your education, your experience, and your qualifications. Because humans are inherently lazy, just put all of that information in one neat paragraph at the top that is your personal statement as a coach. So for example, I could say, I am an internationally recognized rugby strength and conditioning specialist who has worked in 5 different countries at the highest level of multiple sports, in addition to holding a bachelor's and a master's degree in kinesiology related fields. So it's real simple. The person can look immediately at the top of that document, not have to read the rest, sift, and then give your resume more attention down the line. Third is what we call a dual path readership. This is an idea stolen from copywriting. So effectively, sales letters, anything where you're trying to sell somebody either online or offline in physical media. This is the idea that you can read the piece in minute detail and get all of the information, or you can skim and get most of the information. So depending on how much time you have available, what your preferred reading style is, you can still get most of what it is across to that reader, whether they go each way. Likewise, on your resume, if there is key information that you want somebody to get from reading it, you can do it in detail, but you can also go to the strategy of labeling, for example, education, experience, qualifications, and then within those sections, you can physically highlight or bold key phrases or words that check the boxes that employer is looking for. Because let's be honest, most jobs today, there's dozens, sometimes hundreds of people applying for just a handful of jobs. And when you're faced with that many resumes, speed is of the essence. You want to skim those as quickly as possible. Number 4 is to recognize the fact that network will be experience and experience will be qualifications. I've said again and again and again, all things being equal, people want to do business and work with people that they know, like, and trust. All things not being equal, they still want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. For this reason, you want to highlight as much as possible the connections that you have to the people hiring for that job. It could be that you have mutual connections. It could be that you come from the same school of thought with regard to certain training ideas. It could be that you've both passed through certain organizations at different times throughout your careers. Whatever it is, you need to get across in your resume that you are a person that they can know, like, and trust. If you can't do that, you have to understand that experience is a documentation of your ability to do the job and produce results, whereas qualifications is just a suggestion that you have the potential to do so because you haven't done it yet. For this reason, experience and track record and showing how you did the job is always going to be qualifications. Lastly, if you don't have the experience that they're looking for, it's only then that you're going to lean on qualifications. Now, weirdly, most people, when they suggest about how you should do a resume, they're going to tell you to put your education first, then your work experience, then your qualifications, and so on. I would actually flip this. Where possible, if you can, in the personal statement and in your references, you're going to try and include relationships either directly to the person hiring for the job or 1 or 2 contacts removed. It may be that you have somebody that they know as one of your references. You're going to draw attention to organizations that you've gone through, that they've gone through, if that applies. Next is going to be your experience. They are hiring you to do a certain job, and it makes sense that you showing your ability that you've done that job and you've done it well should be front and center of your resume at the top. Nobody cares about degrees. Everyone has a degree. It's really not going to be the difference maker in whether you get hired or not. So for this reason, I actually put education all the way down the bottom, last on the resume, because it isn't really a difference maker. People pay attention most to what is at the top of the page, and you need to put the most important stuff at the top. 5 is to understand that because 1, humans are lazy, and 2, we second guess ourselves, a lot of the time we are going to outsource our judgments to external third parties. If you think about when you buy something on Amazon, the first thing most people do is scroll down to the reviews and read what other people have to say about the product. This is because they want to minimize the perceived risk of the decision that they're about to make, and they want that confirmation from other people that the decision they're going to make is the correct one. We can actually exploit this fact and use numerous psychological cues to boost people's perception of you via third parties. One is obviously references. I actually recommend that when you get a reference from somebody, you don't just put their contact information within your resume, you actually get a written letter of recommendation from them, and then you put in the highlights from that letter into the resume itself, again, highlighting the most important parts, because as an employer, you're never going to believe what somebody says about themselves. Everybody is going to be self-serving in how they describe themselves, but we're going to pay a lot more attention to what it is somebody else has to say about you, especially if they're a prominent individual in the field, and even more so if we actually know that person. You can also take advantage of this by including the logo of prominent organizations with which you've worked in your resume. For one, it stands out from other bland pieces of paper in the pile. And 2, when people see the logo of where you've been, they will immediately subconsciously start to associate you with the other positive qualities that they associate with that organization or that logo. So basically the halo effect. So you get some reflected glory from the organizations that you've been through. If you think this is not a thing, go look at the career prospects of every strength and conditioning coach that has ever walked through the doors of Alabama football.
I mean, come on, you already know. You already know. Awesome.
Number 6 is to tell people how you did what you did, not just what you did. When you get to the experience and employment section of your resume, don't just list out all the things you did. Coached athletes in the weight room, collected data, ran on-field warm-ups, did water on game days. Because the truth is, you can do all of these things and actually be a terrible coach and suck at what you do. What employers want is some kind of inference as to how well you did those duties. So try to include facts and figures. Again, these might not even be things that you are directly responsible for, but if you were a member of a team that came first in the league or won a championship, you should absolutely put it on your resume. If you have data available about the training interventions that you came up with for your athletes, include, average increase in vert was this, average increase in speed was this, reduction in non-contact injuries was this. And again, to steal some authority and some credibility from third parties, if you've achieved certain qualifications, spoken at clinics, even attended conferences, you can also list those in your resume, because again, people want to work with people they know, like, and trust, and they're obviously going to know, like, and trust people that think more like them. So if you know that an employer comes from a certain school of thought with regard to strength and conditioning, Summer Strong, for example, you can list Summer Strong in your resume that you attended, and that will be a subconscious cue that, hey, this is one of our people, we want to hire this person. Number 7 is to follow up. 1 is to follow up personally. One reason to do this is that differentiation is the first step of marketing in business. You have to stand out from the crowd and grab attention and not be like everyone else, so that you become hard to ignore. When it comes to applying for jobs with a resume, you are marketing yourself as the product or the service. And again, you need to differentiate and stand out from the pack. How many people who apply for a job just upload a resume, send it off, and then leave it? Quite a lot. How many follow up with a personal email to the head of strength and conditioning saying, hey, I just want you to know I applied for this job. Looking forward to hearing from you. If there's any more information that you want about me, please let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. It stands out from the crowd, and you're covering your ass if there are any gaps in your resume or your cover letter that they want to know more about you before it becomes time to select people for interview. A second thing you can do is also use people in your network to tip off people selecting for that job that you're going to be applying. When you have an influential person who you respect in your network saying, hey, look out for this person applying for this job, whether you like it or not, when you go to that pile of resumes, you are going to be looking for that person and you're going to have that third-party credibility again. The best is going to be someone who knows that person directly, they're tight with them, but the next best is going to be the most influential and well-respected individual that you have in your network just dropping a courtesy email on your behalf. So these are 7 quick tips that I think can give a quick boost to any resume when applying for a job. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if there's any other topics that you would like to see covered on this channel, just let me know in the comments below. Thanks. Congratulations on making it to the end of the video. Why don't you celebrate by watching more just like it? You can also help us on our quest to placate the algorithm gods by liking, sharing, subscribing, and commenting. Thanks.